Well, hate crimes are front and center today with separate updates from both Toronto's police chief and Vaughan's mayor. CP24's Courtney Heels has a look at that this morning, live from Toronto Police Headquarters. So, Courtney, what are we expecting to hear both separately from the chief and from Vaughan's mayor today?
So, Beatrice, what's happening right now? The Toronto Police Services Board meeting. They just began the meeting about 20 minutes or so ago, so they're starting to just get going on the agenda. And what we will be watching for, this will be an update from the chief, Myron Demkiw. This is something he's been regularly doing since the war began in October in the Middle East. An update on the number of reported hate crimes in the city of Toronto, the number of investigations underway. The last update we received from the chief was in early January, and at that time, he was reporting a bit of a drop compared to November in reported hate crimes that police were looking into. He said that police had 10 reported cases. Actually, the chief is now speaking inside. Let's listen and see what he has to say here.
Police are enforcing the law. Officers have made 24 protest-related arrests and laid 30 charges since October 7th in response to threats, assaults, and mischief. On a number of occasions, officers have continued to investigate demonstration-related incidences following the event and laid charges weeks later. Such investigations are not uncommon, and indeed, some are still open. We are public safety experts, and we take our duty seriously. It should be recognized that policing public demonstrations in a free and democratic society is complex. We are now seeing a change in behavior and the tactics at demonstrations, causing us to reevaluate our approach. Our frontline officers understand their authority to arrest demonstrators. We will not allow critical infrastructure or public spaces to be closed by demonstrators. We will enforce the law, and we will continue to remain neutral during demonstrations, regardless of what is being protested. As tensions continue, we will continue to maintain the delicate balance between public safety and the freedom of expression and the right to assembly. Project Resolute continues to be a large-scale operation. This includes regular engagement with the Jewish and Muslim communities. We are deploying additional resources to ensure the safety and security of places of worship, schools, and other communities' facilities, and maintaining a command post in the Bathurst Street corridor. We are increasing our presence in the Muslim community by deploying a command post on a rotational basis to mosques around the city every Friday and Saturday during Ramadan. The Major Incident Command Center continues to operate 7 days a week to oversee citywide operations and ensure effective handling and coordination of Project Resolute, including demonstrations, as we work to provide a sense of safety and security for Torontonians. The total cost for us to police these events and demonstrations now exceeds $10 million. I want to give an update on hate crime statistics. Since October 7th, we have attended 989 hate crime calls for service. Hate crime is up 93% over the same period last year. We have confirmed 203 hate crimes. We are attending an average of 157 hate crime calls for service a month. While we saw a reduction in calls for service for hate crimes in December and January, we have seen a significant increase in February with a 67% rise in calls. Of the 84 hate crimes so far in 2024, 56% are anti-Semitic. Last month was the highest number of anti-Semitic occurrences per month in the last 3 years. The second highest bias category this year is 2S LGBTQI+ hate crimes, followed by anti-Black. These categories are followed by anti-Muslim, Arab, Palestinian hate crimes. There only have been 5 this year reported, compared to 1 over the same period last year. While underreporting of all forms of hate crimes is a concern you have heard me speak about, I also know from talking to people in the community that Islamophobia is a significant concern. And given our statistics, I am concerned about significant underreporting in this regard. In response to this, we have added a second Muslim liaison officer and increased our presence at mosques. We are looking at new ways to improve access to reporting incidents of hate and continue to evolve our community engagement efforts. Since October 7th, 2023, there have been 203 hate crime occurrences, resulting in 69 arrests and 173 charges related to hate crime occurrences. Of those, the most common charges were mischief at 25%, uttering threats at 17%, assault at 16%. We continue to see hate-related graffiti with 342 occurrences since October 7th. As demonstrated by the number of arrests and charges, our hate crime unit will continue to pursue incidents of hate-motivated behavior fairly and firmly. The unit is also conducting training at the Ontario Police College today and tomorrow, and we continue to have training for our members internally. And while we do discuss the need for fairness, today we are pleased to be tabling our comprehensive equity strategy. The service has been intentional about taking concrete steps towards reform. Through the development of the strategy, we will continue to actively work to address the concerns from and build trust with all communities, including the Black, Indigenous, 2S, LGBTQI+ communities. We will continue to listen closely to the public and our members. We are adopting the recommendations provided by experts and developing equity-based processes and best practices. Now I want to talk to you about a recent spike in shootings in our city. I am concerned about the numbers we are seeing in recent weeks and what that could signal for the summer. On February 18th, we moved the command post to the Driftwood Community Center after 2 innocent men were shot in that neighborhood. The incidents are extremely concerning to residents of the impacted community, our entire city, and our police service. The community has shared with me that the command post is helping restore a sense of calm. In response to the shootings of those 2 men, one who lost his life, we also increased our patrols in the neighborhood. I met with community members in the days following these shootings to listen to them and hear their concerns and to let them know that the full weight of the Toronto Police Service is working to bring those responsible to justice. I can also advise that faith leaders have united together and support these efforts in this community. Our officers will continue to engage with residents and faith leaders to build relationships. We have previously seen the power of prayer walks in communities impacted by gun violence, including how they can help build trust and restore a sense of safety and security. At the end of February, I joined faith leaders, residents, and service members for a prayer walk in the Driftwood community and will participate in a citywide multi-faith prayer walk on April 11th. You will see more service-wide prayer walks across the city where unit commanders and neighborhood officers will join faith leaders and go into their communities together. Last month, Deputy Johnson and I attended a National Auto Theft Summit in Ottawa, hosted by the federal government, to bring law enforcement and public and private sector leaders together. I spoke about how Toronto has been disproportionately impacted with more than 12,000 vehicles stolen last year alone. Those vehicles are valued at $790 million. That's 34 vehicles stolen every day. That's 1 every 40 minutes. We've had 68 carjackings so far in 2024. That's a 106% increase compared to the same period last year. In January, a mother with 2 children in car seats had her vehicle stolen in a grocery store parking lot. 2 young offenders drove those children around for 15 minutes. The children are safe now, but this terrorizing criminal activity has to stop. It leaves people feeling anxious and afraid and victimized, all while organized criminals profit. Break and enters for auto theft continues to rise. There have been 34 incidents so far this year, compared to 22 for all of last year. We are putting a significant amount of resources in place to address this citywide. We have seen an escalation We have seen an escalation of violence, threats, and intimidation where weapons are being used to steal vehicles. This is why it's important we are co-leading the Provincial Carjacking Task Force with the Ontario Provincial Police. The task force is an example of how working together with other agencies helps us in these complex investigations to disrupt this criminal element. As of March 15th, the task force has arrested 121 suspects, laid 730 charges, and recovered 157 stolen vehicles. This work is in addition to the efforts of every division experiencing this type of criminality. This is a whole-of-service priority. We're also launching automatic license plate recognition readers in our in-car camera system, which automatically read and search for stolen plates. The ALPR can read plates in vehicles traveling at high rates of speed. This will support road safety, enhance frontline efficiency, and will help investigators with an electronic eye on the road. At the Auto Theft Summit in Ottawa, I explained that this is not just a law enforcement problem. It is time to be bold and collaborative with all levels of government, along with vehicle manufacturers, port authorities, and shipping companies. We need to work in a coordinated manner to fight organized crime, stop the violence, and take the profit out of this organized criminal enterprise. We need manufacturers to better protect vehicles from being stolen and cooperate with investigators to track stolen vehicles so we can catch offenders quickly and return vehicles to their owners. The Toronto Police Service is part of a multi-agency effort known as Project Vector, which focuses on identifying the shipping ports used by organized crime to export stolen vehicles. Once the vehicles are located, the service forensically examines them and researches the history of how the vehicle ended up in a shipping container. The investigation is shared among partner services for follow-up. We share this information with our Organized Crime Investigative Support Unit and the Provincial Carjacking Team. This past weekend, the Organized Crime Investigative Support Unit used intelligence to recover 9 stolen vehicles worth more than $600,000. This success story is thanks to the provincial government's Prevent Auto Theft grant. I also want to make you aware that Deputy Johnson had the opportunity to appear before the Public Safety and National Security Committee last month to amplify the impact organized crime-related vehicle theft has on Toronto. As I mentioned earlier in my remarks, and as you have heard throughout this update, the pressure on the service and our members is palpable. I want to take a moment to thank our members for their outstanding work to keep our community safe. They are incredibly skilled, capable, and courageous, as exemplified last Tuesday. Members of 51 Division apprehended a suspect in a double homicide who is now facing murder charges. I visited one of them, a very dedicated Toronto police officer in hospital who was injured during that foot pursuit. He was in pain, but had a positive and professional attitude as he was awaiting treatment. There is a lot of outstanding work the public never sees. We are trying to capture this work and show our appreciation to our members. Another example is a recent rescue of a missing elderly Alzheimer's patient who vanished on a very cold night. We are committed to celebrating and highlighting good work. I'd like to show you the first in a series of videos that do just that. Please have a look at what happened when a Toronto man reported his wife missing.
I called my wife Betty, but there was no response.
Okay, if you're just listening in now, what we are listening to, Chief Myron Demkiw providing this update on reported hate crimes in the city of Toronto. Beatrice, this is something the chief has been doing during all of the police services board meetings over the past couple of months. What we're just learning now, he's taking a look at some of the numbers, what officers have seen, especially when it comes to February, saying they have seen a pretty significant increase in the number of hate-related crime calls in February, a 67% rise in those calls, 84 hate crimes reported to Toronto police so far this year. That is saying last month the highest number of anti-Semitic occurrences per month in the last 3 years. So obviously that's very concerning for the chief and officers in the community. He also acknowledged he believes there's an underreporting of hate crimes and saying that there is Islamophobia in the community, people who may be concerned to share what they are experiencing with Toronto police. So he's saying they will continue to ramp up their presence within the community. There is already a command post out in the city, but he also said during Ramadan they will be having officers and command posts outside of mosques for Fridays and Saturdays. And again, this is so people feel safe, and if they have a concern, they can get access to those officers to report any crimes so that an investigation can happen. So we're just starting to break down some of the numbers now, Beatrice, and we also heard the chief talking about concerns with gun violence in the city, auto thefts. The meeting is really just getting started, but we will have a chance to talk to the chief in a couple of hours from now once this board meeting wraps up. We'll have a chance to ask some questions and, again, talk a little bit more about what he is seeing, what his officers are investigating when it comes to reported hate crimes in the city of Toronto. Over to you.
Yeah, a lot of new information. Just some other stats for our viewers. 69 arrests since October 7th. That's when the Israel-Hamas war started. 173 charges as well related to hate crime occurrences, the vast majority of them mischief. Our Courtney Hill's live at Toronto Police Headquarters, keeping a close eye on this story. And I'm sure we'll chat with you again prior to you getting to ask the chief some questions as well.